There is a contact in my phone named Carol. I have not deleted it. I don't think I ever will. Carol has been gone for 2 years now, and some mornings I still scroll past her name and feel the particular weight of knowing that if I pressed it, no one would answer. My name is Vivian. I'm 84 years old, and what I am about to tell you took me nearly a decade to understand, and I think you need to hear it before you lose someone and wish you had. By the end of this story, I want to tell you the one thing I did that changed how I carry all of this. It isn't what I expected. It isn't what anyone told me to do, but it was the only thing that actually worked. I want to talk about something that nobody prepares you for when you get to this age. Everyone talks about the fear of your own death. Books are written about it. Therapists specialize in it. Whole philosophies are built around making peace with it. But very little is said about the other thing, the thing that actually arrives first and keeps arriving year after year with a persistence that no amount of philosophical preparation fully addresses. I am talking about watching your world disappear. Not all at once, but steadily, the way a shoreline erodes. One person at a time, one phone number at a time, one inside joke that now belongs only to you because the only other person who would have understood it is gone. I grew up in a small city in North Carolina, the youngest of 3 children, and I was lucky in the way that people who grew up surrounded by warmth are lucky. I had no idea for a very long time what it meant to be without it. My parents were present and loving. My brothers were close to me. I had a best friend named Miriam from the 2nd grade until she died 4 years ago at the age of 81. And I want to tell you what it means to lose someone you have known since you were 7 years old. It means losing the only living witness to most of your own life. It means that every story you share from your childhood, from your teenage years, from the early years of your marriage, now exists only inside you, unverifiable, unechoed, yours alone in a way that feels less like ownership and more like isolation. I married a man named George when I was 24, and we were together for 46 years. George died 9 years ago. When George died, I entered the particular club that women of my generation know well, the Club of Widows, which is large and quiet and filled with women who have learned out of necessity to do alone the things they once did in pairs. I managed George's death the way I had always managed hard things, by staying busy, by being useful to the people around me, by not making more of a fuss than seemed appropriate. What I did not fully understand then was that George's death was the first of many losses, and that each one that followed would compound the ones before it in ways I hadn't anticipated. Let me ask you something. Think of the 3 people you are closest to right now. Not your spouse, not your children, the friends, the ones who know the stories nobody else knows. I want you to hold those 3 names in your mind for a moment, because what I am about to describe is the thing that happens when those names start to disappear. And it is something I wish someone had described to me honestly before it began. In the 10 years since George died, I have lost 9 people who were central to my life. 9. I have been to 9 funerals, written 9 sympathy notes that felt entirely inadequate, sat 9 times in a pew or a folding chair, and tried to find somewhere to put a grief that had nowhere left to go. Carol, Miriam, my brother Thomas, my neighbor Ruth, who used to bring me tomatoes from her garden every August without being asked, my college roommate Patricia, friends I had known for 30, 40, 50 years. Each loss arrived with its own specific shape, some sudden, some long and slow, some expected and still shocking when they finally came. And what I noticed, after enough of them, was that the grief was no longer just about the individual person. It was about accumulation. It was about the shrinking of the world itself. There is something I have never heard anyone describe accurately, and I want to try. When you are young and you lose someone, the world closes around the gap the way water closes around a stone. Other people are there. Life refills. When you are my age and you lose someone, the gap stays. There is no closing around it because the world itself is smaller now, and there are fewer people to fill what's missing. You feel each loss not just as its own grief, but as a subtraction from something that was already quietly running out. That is a particular kind of loneliness that has no clean name, and I lived inside it, mostly in silence, for several years before I began to understand what to do with it. And here is where I want to tell you about the shift, because there was one. It was not dramatic. It did not arrive the way I expected. But when I tell you what it was, I think some of you are going to recognize it immediately, because I suspect you have already been doing it without realizing it has a name. What I am about to tell you is not a solution. I want to be clear about that because I am too old to offer you solutions to things that don't have them. What I found was not a way to stop grieving or a method for making peace with loss. What I found was a way to keep living alongside it, which is different and smaller, and in my experience, more honest than anything that promises resolution. The first thing I understood was that I had been treating grief as a problem to be managed rather than a companion to be acknowledged. I had spent years trying to process each loss efficiently, to grieve appropriately, to move through it and come out the other side intact. What I discovered was that the losses at this age don't work that way. They don't resolve. They accumulate into a texture, a background condition of life that is always present, sometimes loud, sometimes quiet, but always there. And when I stopped trying to finish the grief and started simply allowing it to be present, something shifted. Not the grief itself, but my relationship to it. I started talking about the people I had lost, the way you talk about people who are still present in your life. Carol loved terrible mystery novels, and she always had 3 of them going at once. And I still pick up a mystery sometimes at the library and think of her. Miriam had an opinion about everything, and she was right about most of it. And I still find myself wondering, when something happens in the world, what Miriam would have said. George made the same joke every time it rained. I am the only one left who knows the punchline. And I still smile at it. If you have lost someone recently, or if you are at an age where the losses are beginning to arrive with more frequency, I want you to stay with me for just a few more minutes, because what I found next is the part I wish someone had told me at the very beginning. and it has to do with something most people get completely wrong about grief at this stage of life. I found that keeping the people I had loved present in my daily life, not in a shrine-like way, not as monuments, but as living presences in memory and conversation, changed something about the weight I was carrying. They were not gone from my life. They were gone from the world. Those are different things. I carry them with me, and I have stopped being self-conscious about saying so. That was the thing I promised to tell you. That was the shift. Not acceptance, not closure, just presence, letting them stay. I also made a deliberate decision to invest in people who were younger than me without reservation. I cultivated a friendship with a woman in her 50s at my church who talked to me the way a person talks to another person rather than the way people sometimes talk to someone my age. I started spending real time with my grandchildren, not the performed grandparent time of holidays and birthdays, but ordinary time, honest conversation, the kind where they actually know me. These relationships do not replace what I have lost. Nothing does. But they remind me that I am still in the world, still capable of knowing and being known, still able to begin something new even at 84. I don't know who is watching this, but if you are young, I want you to hear this. The people in your life who are still alive, the ones whose phone numbers still connect to a living voice, call them. Not for a reason, not on a schedule, just because they are there, and one day they won't be, and the distance between those two things is shorter than you think and arrives faster than you can prepare for. Tell them the things you have been meaning to say. Ask them the questions you have been meaning to ask. Don't let the inside jokes go unshared. Don't let the stories go untold. And if you are closer to my age and you know the particular weight I have been describing, the accumulation of names in your phone that no one answers, the jokes with no one left to finish them, I want to say this to you. You are not alone in carrying it. The grief is real and it is large and it does not fully resolve, but there is life on the other side of it. Not despite the losses, not after them, but alongside them. A quieter life, a smaller life in some ways, but one that can still surprise you with its warmth, its laughter, its moments of genuine connection. Carol would have had a lot to say about all of this. She usually did.